If nothing else, this team is explosive. I'll tell you that. Miami blast by Duke after trailing by 11 with a 36-3 run. We got Miami Flow on the line to talk some Duke, talk some Georgia Tech game upcoming, of course, this Saturday. Miami Flow, how's it going?
It's great. Happy to be back. Weather's still good down here in South Florida, so everything's going good.
So before we get going on this one, let people know where they can find you.
It's simple, just a name, Miami Flow. We have a channel that has a bunch of shows on it. At the end of the day, our Twitter is he's got it right there on the front. It's pretty simple, at Miami Flow 305, and we just love Miami Hurricane content and college football, and we keep it positive, but we keep it honest.
I actually thought I made a decent prediction. Took Miami to win the game, of course, but snatching up that 21 points, and that didn't turn out to be the case, technically. I still think I made the right choice, but it didn't work out that way because 11-point lead by Duke, and there's not too many teams in the country that can just wipe it out like it's nothing and blow right past it, but that's Cam Ward putting up 5 touchdowns, 400 yards through the air.
It's something special is happening on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, there's no doubt, and I'm sure you've seen it. Some people are starting to compare that offense to that LSU offense, which I think is kind of funny, to be honest. But I mean, he has done it before. It's not the first time. It's not an accident. It's not a miracle. This is kind of becoming a trend for us. You kind of mess around in the first half, maybe even a little bit into the second half, and then all of a sudden he decides to close his eyes and open them back up, and he throws for a bunch of touchdowns. He's on every highlight. Now he's in the lead for the Heisman, or tied for the lead of the Heisman. He's a special guy. He's definitely turned our program around. Our offense is special. I'm sure we'll talk about our defense a little bit later, but I'm not surprised that our offense is doing what it's doing. It's because it's not the first time, and it's multiple different defenses now that we've seen that he's done this too.
And what they've tacked on the last couple of weeks is obviously a run game that was expected to be there the entire season. That can take over the game as well when the offensive line gets cranked. You got the combination of Mark Fletcher and Damian Martinez, which each guy brings a little bit different skill set, which is what you want out of a couple running backs, and they can go 4 deep, of course. So the complement of the running game as well that, of course, Mario Cristobal takes pride in.
Yeah, I mean, offensive line is not something you're going to have to worry about. And what does that usually translate right into? A pretty solid run game, right? I think both of those guys you mentioned are NFL guys. Big, too. They're not small. The O-line was definitely going to come through with the running game. I think in the beginning of the season, what happened, a lot people chose to put a lot of guys in the box. So Cam Ward did what he did. And recently, teams decided to try to play us a little bit different. So the run game started taking over. I never thought or was worried that the run game wouldn't take off. I just thought it was the checks that Cam Ward was doing on the line just by how many people were in the box. He would check to a passing play if they had X amount of people in the box, and if they tried to play more of the pass, he would check to the run. That's a blessing that we have, the O-line, and it's deep. We have we have a guy or two that can come in if there's any issues. But again, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, I think we're really, really, really good, and we're deep, at that position. At this time of the year, how many teams can say they're deep, going into the game 10, of the season? And our offensive side of the ball, we're still really deep at every single position. We've been relatively healthy, thank God.
The first touchdown of the game was Xavier Restrepo, of course, as you need to do with Cam Ward, because he's going to improvise. It seems like every 2 out of 3 plays, he's doing pirouettes and, bouncing off guys in the pocket and then scrambling out of it and then tossing the ball out of that mess. But Xavier Restrepo, he just seems like, in addition to a great skill set, excellent receiver, now a record holder at Miami in terms of receiving yards and the catches. He's real close, right?
I think he broke everything.
That's what I thought going into the game. They put up a graphic, and I thought, okay, he's going to get both of these. And then I just kept seeing tweets about receiving yards, so I thought I missed something there. So, all-time receiving.
I'm pretty sure he broke a few of them, and I thought one of them was catches too. And the thing is, he's from here. He is the DNA of this young guy is a Miami guy. Special. It's special. It wasn't highly recruited, right? Didn't have all the fancy stars, didn't run a 4.3. But he just kept his head down. Multiple OCs, multiple quarterbacks. The guy continued to produce. He's a grinder. He's a worker. I don't know one person that has said anything bad about this young man off the field or on the field. The teammates love him, and I know he broke a bunch of records this weekend. I think one was touchdowns, one might have been yards. I'm not sure if the reception one was broken, but he definitely broke a few because I saw the hugs from Reggie Wayne and Michael Irving and Andre Johnson. They were there. Yeah, he is to sound funny from a guy, but he's a gem. He's a gem. He's a gem to have on the team because he affects the team in so many different ways.
And my point about the first touchdown was that just classic Xavier Restrepo from the standpoint that, like you mentioned, there's a zillion freak athletes that play that position that are incredibly fast, athletic, Adonis type builds, the whole deal, but their ball skills are good. They're fine. But his are like next level, otherworldly, tracking the ball, the hands, the ball gets deflected, and he's got to respond in a split second, and he's able to dive, keep his feet in off a ball that was tipped like 2 feet in front of him. And, I know he made some ridiculous catches a couple of weeks ago, and Cam Ward was asked about it, and he said he makes them in practice every day. So we're so used to seeing it.
Yeah. Again, with him, I guess a good word is he's got his intangibles are just through, off the charts. He's always in the right spot at the right time. And I mean, I think in his entire history at Miami, he's got like 3 drops in like 4 years or something like that. It's something ridiculous like that. Again, but I like to rarely do you get a guy that is that good and he's that good as a person or character off the field, so he's the full boat. He's the full thing. I mean, he's like that as a person too. So I like to mention that.
Do you care personally, and do you think the fan base cares if Cam Ward wins the Heisman?
Yeah, I do. I do think. I don't personally care. I'm old school. Please just get me to the playoffs. That's the. I mean that's. I'm just so. I feel like I need someone to pinch me to make sure that I am awake, that we're actually winning again. But I think the fan base, it's a big deal, and it's because of recruiting, right? Because of transfer portal stuff. You get a guy that comes over, you get him for a year. He has the best year of his career. He looks like there was the right decision for him not to go to the NFL and to stay and get more developed. He's winning at a bigger stage, right? And then, oh my goodness, he wins the Heisman. It's a little easier when you go into a living room or you get on a Zoom call with somebody. Now it's like, hey, look what we did with Cam. Me personally, I just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Get us them W's. And I'm super happy. I wanted to, if he wants for himself, sure. But me, whatever.
I'm going to pick on one aspect of his game, Miami flow, and he did this sometime in the third quarter when it was still competitive. I think it was 39-31. He runs all over the place. He gets trapped on the sideline. He makes a horrible decision to throw the ball all the way across the field. It gets picked off, and quarterbacks make mistakes. Like every time a college quarterback gets picked apart, in certain instances, especially when they're throwing 40, 45 passes, you're going to make a couple mistakes. You're going to miss a few throws. I think these guys get compared to the guys that play on Sunday too much. But he does that too often. And when this team reaches the playoffs, you got to think that caliber of athlete playing, especially from an SEC or a Big Ten team, is going to be just that much better that some of those decisions, more of them might burn him than do in the ACC.
Yeah. Extremely concerning on that. And it wasn't the first time that he's done that exact same play with that exact same result. And what's even more troubling, or depending on what side of the camp you're on, what's exciting is in the post-game press conference, he says, yeah, and I'll do it again. And next time I'll make the play. So I don't like it at all. I lost my mind. I'm in the stands when that happened. I like probably said a bunch of things I shouldn't have said. I mean, we're only up 8 at that point. I'm a big fan of being a good situational quarterback. And then you talk to, I would say, the majority of the fan base, and they're like, "Oh, that's what you get with him." You got the good and the bad, and the good and the bad, right? I think that's what a lot of people say. I don't like it at all because I do understand that we are really good, but we're also really good because of our schedule. And I think if you do that kind of stuff against a team that will actually make you pay for it, you're gonna catch an L that day, and we keep winning because I feel like we just have the better roster of anybody we're playing against so far, so far, you know. So I don't like it. I'm definitely I'm very vocal about it, maybe more than I should. I'm on my channel, I'm on my friends, but everyone says the same line back to me, Mark. Well, that's what you get with him, you got to take the good and the bad. I'm like, I understand that, but you have a chance where you can actually not just make the playoffs, but you might be able to win a couple games in the playoffs with this type of offense if you just protect the ball a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see. I don't like it. I lost my mind and I got up, started walking around the stadium a little bit. So yeah.
I agree with you, but I do understand it's a fine line, and it's easy to sit in the stands or watch on TV and say, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. But then when it works, when he does pull off the remarkable play, say, yeah, that's what you're paid to do. That's why you're there. You're supposed to do that. Yeah. But when you're on the field making the split-second decision and you're running around and you got 300-pound guys chasing you, there's now only certain guys can get it where that risk reward line, they know where that is, and nobody's perfect, but they do it right most of the time. They know when to take the risk and what is a reasonable risk, which is versus what is just a dumb play. There's guys that know that, and there's a lot of guys that learn it along the way. So I think he's probably capable of that, but we shall see. But the positives far outweigh the negatives. I think we can all agree on that.
True. And just to piggyback off what you said, I don't think we have the easiest schedule in the world, but I don't think our schedule is hard by any means. And you can do those things if you have the roster that Mario's built against that schedule, and you'll get away with it. So no one's really feeling the sting of that. It's kind of like, oh, I can't believe we just did that. Please don't do it again. Not, oh, I can't believe we did that and it cost us the game. There's a big difference with that. I do think he's super talented. He's unbelievable. He's been an absolute blessing for the program. But I don't like it. I wish he wouldn't do that anymore.
So Miami Flow, I'm going to make that same LSU comparison, but it's going to be slightly different. So I'm guessing you're thinking of Joe Burrow, 2019 LSU, scoring a zillion points a game and obviously win the national championship. I'll have to credit one of my callers because I didn't make this connection. They said 2023 LSU, Jaden Daniels scoring a zillion points, best offense in the country, not such a great defense, and whatever, they finished 10-3. So maybe that comparison. So talk a little bit about the defense. There was a point in this game, obviously Miami jumps out 14-0. The defense makes a couple plays, but they were also gifted. Malik Murphy threw up 2 passes in this game that were basically punts. Rarely do you see defensive backs like, wait. Okay, exactly. I'm catching it like in my breadbasket kind of throws. But he did 2 of those. But then obviously they shot out, give them credit, 28-3 run to take a lead. And I looked at I'm watching the game. I look at the box score at one point because I'm thinking, man, they're ripping off some chunk plays. And I'm looking and I'm going through and it's like 27, 40, 15, another 27. So for that 28-3 spurt, boy, they ripped off a lot of chunk plays. So the defense obviously still has some progress to make.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of progress to make. I think there is a decision that the staff has to make, right? And it's something that's been kind of been in the it's been, people have been rumbling about it for a couple weeks now, but I think it's very obvious after the Duke game. You can't play man. Coach Guidry, our DC, he is all gas, no brakes. That's been his career. But we have our best corner's been out for the whole season for the most part. We get another injury in that DB room. We're not. If you look at those chunk plays, I think you'd be shocked when you see how many were done when we were in zone one, by the way. And it's very interesting to me because it's kind of been a trend now. We continue to play man and continue to get killed on man. Continue. And then, not even talk about the missed tackles, but it's really when we're in that man. And everybody knows it. OCs compare notes, right? It's not shocked that teams are coming out with their route trees being man beater, with the rub routes and the picks. There's no shock. I don't understand personally, and I'd be shocked if I'm sure we're going to talk about Georgia Tech next, if we continue to play 85, 90% man. I'd be shocked because we play zone actually really, really well, according to the analytics, right? The eye test looks pretty good also. I don't think it's a personnel thing. I think it's a scheme thing according to our personnel, which is a big difference, right? I think we have solid personnel with that front four and the back end to play solid zone, but that man is killing us. The man is killing us. I mean, we're going crazy as fans that like to watch tape on that Sunday morning and try to watch it back once we get to 22. And I can tell you that every time we're running man, it's like we're rolling the dice because he likes to play zero and he likes to play only one over the top when he plays man. That's him. And last year we loved him. This year we're like, what are we doing? It's just, it's college football. It's an emotional roller coaster with your coordinators. If they're doing good, you think they're the greatest. If they have a few bad games, you're like, it's not the players, it's the coordinator. I really believe if we play more zone, it's going to help us a ton in our defense.